Former NFL wide receiver Chad Ochocinco says a little birdie is telling him that Russell Wilson, soon-to-be free agent quarterback, when and if the Denver Broncos release him this offseason, is going to be signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers once he hits the open market. Today, I'm going to be reacting to this rumor, whether or not you should take any stock in what Ochocinco has to say. But first, make sure you guys click that subscribe button, because if the Steelers make a move at the quarterback position this offseason, we're going to be right here giving you guys breaking news coverage. And guys, if they get a new quarterback, we're going to be going live and we're going to party it up. All right, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now, because if they get Justin Fields, if they get Russell Wilson, even if they sign Ryan Tannehill, we are going to have you covered with a breaking news video right here on the channel. So make sure you don't miss it. Click that subscribe button right now. So personally, guys, you guys know how I feel about this. If you watched the show before, I am a big advocate of the Steelers getting Russell Wilson to be their next starting quarterback, because I think he gives the Steelers the best possible chance to win a Super Bowl in the short-term future. I think that this roster is ready to win now. They have a great defense. Cam Hayward's career is starting to come to a close. They got good weapons on the offensive side of the ball, a good dynamic duo at running back, an offensive line that's getting better every single year, and now you got a guy in Arthur Smith as the next offensive coordinator that I really believe in. So I think if you can fill out the rest of the needs around the roster, corner, offensive tackle, center, and then you get the right quarterback, I think that you could be set up for a potential Super Bowl run in 2024, 2025, however long Russ would be here in Pittsburgh. So there's three specific reasons why I think Russell Wilson is the best fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into next season. First of all, he's the most affordable option. All right, you can get him for the vet minimum, which is just over $1.2 million. All right, so you could draft a quarterback in the first round, and Russell Wilson would still be less expensive than that first round rookie. That's how affordable Russell Wilson is at this point in his career, because in Denver, that contract that he has with them currently, if he gets released, and it looks like he will, if he signs with another team, he has an offset clause with the Denver Broncos, which means the Broncos would be on the hook for the rest of his almost $39 million salary in 2024. So he could come to Pittsburgh, get paid $1.2 million by the Steelers, and then he'd be still getting paid a boatload of money by the Denver Broncos. So this makes sense in that regard. Number two, he's a top 10 most clutch quarterback in the National Football League's history. Top 10 in both fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives, all right? That is an incredible number for somebody that's still playing, okay? There's some people on that list that have played over 100 more games than Russell Wilson in their careers, all right? So Russell Wilson, if you look at his stats in the fourth quarter, if you look at his stats in these clutch situations, he absolutely delivers the goods, and he's somebody that's been to the Super Bowl. He has playoff and Super Bowl experience. He's won a Super Bowl. So if you're looking to really make a run towards a ring and get Cam Hayward a ring here before he hangs him up, Russell Wilson is the guy that has that experience to really get the job done. Now, none of those two things matter if he can't play football anymore. If he's cooked, then there's no reason to bring him in. But I really don't think Russell Wilson is as bad as the narrative around the league says that he is. All right, I think because things haven't gone the way that he wanted them to go in Denver, people think that all of a sudden he's just a terrible quarterback. But last year, he actually went on a really nice run in the second half of the season where he almost led the Denver Broncos to the playoffs, and you compare him to another guy that the Steelers or that Steelers fans would say, yeah, let's bring in Kirk Cousins. He's a great option to bring in as a free agent, even if you have to pay him $30 million. Well, let's look at Russell Wilson here and look at his numbers. His on-target percentage was higher than Kirk Cousins' in 2023, so he was more accurate. All right, his touchdown percentage was higher, which means he was more efficient getting the ball in the end zone. His big-time throw percentage was top 10 in the league, whereas Kirk Cousins' was 33rd in the National Football League last year. The interception percentage right around the same range, and same thing with the quarterback rating. And here's the thing, guys, Russell Wilson can be had for $1.2 million versus Kirk Cousins, who you'd have to pay at least $30 million a season for. So the cap freedom that you would have with Russell Wilson on your roster, you could get a guy like Kirk Cousins and somebody that still has a great deep ball, still very accurate, still efficient getting the ball in the end zone. He's still super clutch, and he throws a great deep ball. I mean, just imagine that deep ball with George Pickens in 2024. Now, the only thing that I think would kind of keep Russell Wilson away from the Steelers is his wife, Sierra. She's a city girl, man, and she likes being in New York. She likes being in LA. She likes being in these big cities, these glamorous cities, and if she doesn't want Russ to move the entire family to an industrial city like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that could certainly be understood there from Sierra's point of view. But if you're Russell Wilson and you're still trying to build yourself a legacy in this game and you want to be able to win a Super Bowl and really ingratiate yourself with one of the blue blood franchises in the National Football League, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers make a lot of sense. But there are other options out there for Russell if Sierra wants to go to a more glamorous city. Las Vegas and Atlanta are two great options. The music scene in Atlanta would be really nice fit there for Sierra and their family. Las Vegas, Sin City, man, glamorous lights, big lights, man. That these two teams definitely make a lot of sense to me. If he plays for the Raiders, he could play Denver twice a year. So if the Raiders want Russ, I think that's a good fit right there. And then Atlanta, of course, they got some young talents, man. They got Bijan Robinson. They got Drake London. They've got Kyle Pitts, not to mention an up-and-coming defense with a very energetic first-year head coach in Raheem Morris. So I could certainly see Russ going to the Raiders or Falcons. But listen, man, if he wants to win football games and quickly, I think his best fit is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I will say this about Chad Ochocinco specifically giving this report. He's not the most reliable source, all right? So it's not like it's Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter saying this. It's Chad Ochocinco, who's been known to stir the pot, occasionally, okay? So it definitely is the case that Ochocinco might be not exactly telling the truth here, or he might be kind of not telling the truth at all. Okay, so just keep that in mind here. It's very possible that Ochocinco is just saying stuff to get his name in the news, so just keep that in mind. So let me know down there in the comments section, who will the Steelers have as their starting quarterback in Week 1 of the 2024 season? Will it be Kenny Pickett? Will it be Russell Wilson? Will it be Justin Fields? Will it be someone else? Let me know down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So moving away from the quarterback position here, and let's go to Diontae Johnson, and he's been in the news lately because there's a new report that came out today that he is planning another hold-in at training camp until he gets a new deal because he's entering the last year of his contract. I don't think he's a great fit in Arthur Smith's offense here in Pittsburgh now, and he might be feeling a little bit insecure. This is what Mark Madden had to say on Diontae Johnson, what he's heard about what Diontae's plans are heading into 2024. I've heard Diontae Johnson's future is in doubt. I've heard whispers he plans to have a hold-in again like he did 2 years ago because we're going into the last year of his contract and he's going to make noise over Pickett at quarterback. Now, coming up here, I'm going to let you know whether I think Diontae Johnson is going to be traded away from the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. But before I get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Football season may be over, folks, but the fun on PrizePicks never stops as you can enhance your viewing experience for things like March Madness this year, NBA basketball, MLB baseball is coming up right around the corner, and even NASCAR. Okay, you can even put projections on PrizePicks for NASCAR, which is absolutely, I didn't even know that you could do that, but it's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. I've been absolutely addicted to using it ever since we started partnering with them a couple months back. You might be asking yourselves, how does PrizePicks work? Well, here's how you play. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry you put in. And right now, they just started their total season PrizePicks projections for MLB baseball. So you can go more or less on all these types of players for batting average, for total home runs, stolen bases, and more on the PrizePicks app right now. So if you love MLB baseball, you love doing these kinds of projections, you can check it out now at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With PrizePicks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. To get started right now, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. So the first thing that I want to say here is, what does it say exactly that Diontae Johnson feels so strongly about Kenny Pickett not being the guy throwing him the football in 2024 that he's willing to kind of make a scene about it here and going into this offseason? It tells you that he doesn't like Pickett throwing in the ball, all right? So number one, he's probably being a little bit of a baby here. Okay, we know Diontae can be a little bit of a diva, all right? I think that might be a little bit fair to say there. And then also, I think what it means is that Pickett is not the answer for this team at quarterback. And Diontae, who has had to deal with Pickett throwing him the football and, not seeing when he gets open. And then when he does see that when he gets open, not hitting him with accurate passes enough, I definitely think Diontae Johnson has had enough of Kenny Pickett's bullshit here. And he saw what Mason Rudolph was able to do in the same offense last year. And he's like, you know what? I prefer Mason Rudolph. I prefer what he brings to the table over Kenny Pickett. I mean, he straight up said it in his final media availability of the year after they lost to the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. I want Mason Rudolph to start next year. And he's coming straight up out against the starting quarterback of this football team. So it's like Pittsburgh, these offensive weapons that you really want to keep around are saying they don't want Kenny Pickett. Maybe we should listen to them because these guys are the ones whose livelihoods depend on Pickett throwing them the football, and they don't want him to be associated with them any longer. So for me personally, when it comes to Diontae Johnson, I actually do think it's time for the Steelers to part ways with him. Not only have the antics continued to grow here over the last several years, but I also don't think he's a great fit for Arthur Smith's new offense that he's bringing here to Pittsburgh. He really requires his receivers to be really, really stout run blockers, and that's just not Diontae Johnson's game. He's more of line up outside, do his thing, route run, get open against man coverage. He's a bit of a smaller wide receiver. He's not going to be somebody that wants to get close to the line and block people and chip and do all these different things that he's going to be asked to do. And because of that, I think with 1 year left on his deal, it is the perfect time to part ways with him for a high draft pick, whether that be a late first-round pick or a second-round pick. Now, you look at the cap savings that you could get if you trade Diontae here. You could get $10 million in additional cap space if you trade away Diontae Johnson. So let's say they trade him away. That gives you enough cap space there, just right there, to go out and get Tyler Boyd in free agency. Pittsburgh native, bigger wide receiver, fits this offense a whole lot better for a lower price tag, which would actually be really good for this team, in my opinion. And then you can maybe sign another receiver in free agency, or you could get another receiver in the draft with that draft pick that you get for sending Diontae Johnson elsewhere. So I think it's probably better for both sides here if a deal can be made to send Diontae Johnson elsewhere, because I don't think he's a great fit in this offense anymore. And I think if you can get a second-round pick for Diontae Johnson, I would probably pull the trigger on that deal. Now, it depends on where the pick is exactly in the second round. I'm not taking the last pick in the second round for Diontae Johnson, but you guys get where I'm coming from here. So what say you guys? Would you trade a second-round pick in exchange for Diontae Johnson? Simply give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section whether you would trade a round 2 pick in exchange for wide receiver Diontae Johnson. Now, before I go here, we're going to have a little bit of fun. The 3 worst Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback rumors that I have heard so far this offseason. All right, so these are 3 guys that are being rumored as potential starters for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year that I think are just terrible options for this football team. All right, so let's start with number 1 here. That's Desmond Ridder. Okay, first of all, you're going to have to trade for Ridder in order to bring him in. And the argument here is that he played under Arthur Smith in Atlanta, so maybe Arthur Smith wants to trade for him. No, okay, he stunk with Arthur Smith. Why would Smith want to bring him in, even as a backup option, all right? I really don't think that's going to happen. And if it did happen, I would be pretty upset with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Number 2 stinker, Mac Jones, okay? No way is this going to happen, especially if he's going to be a starter in 2024, okay? The last 2 seasons have just been absolutely terrible. I think Jones needs to go somewhere where he can be a high-quality backup in a Shanahan-style system, and Mac Jones is just not somebody that I see in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform heading into 2024. Now, the worst one, guys, the worst rumor that I have heard is Jimmy Garoppolo, okay? Rich Eisen said on his show yesterday that he could see Jimmy Garoppolo being a good fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What the fuck are you talking about, man? This guy is one of the worst quarterbacks in the National Football League. Not to mention, he's suspended for the first 2 games for using performance-enhancing drugs. And after what we saw from him on those PEDs last year, and he still was terrible, I don't want to see what he looks like off of those things, all right? So this guy is not a good quarterback. He can't throw it outside the numbers. He has a noodle arm, all right? He's not going to be able to throw it down the field. No way in hell am I bringing Jimmy Garoppolo to the Steel City, even as a backup. It's a terrible idea. No way in hell Jimmy Garoppolo wears black and gold next year. So let me know down there in the comment section, which free agent quarterback or quarterback that you could trade for this offseason would you least like to see as the number 1 quarterback for the Steelers in 2024? For me, guys, I got to go Jimmy G. I mean, he's older. He's not going to be the answer long term. He's not going to be the answer short term. He'd be a complete train wreck just like he was there with Las Vegas last year. So for me, guys, my worst nightmare is Jimmy G suiting it up as the number 1 quarterback of this freaking football team. All right, that's going to be it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for extensive Steelers QB rumors and news coverage here. Again, if news breaks, if Russell Wilson is traded to the Steelers or the Steelers sign him, which would obviously be what we prefer, or if they trade for Justin Fields, or if they get somebody else, we're going to have you guys covered with a video, and if it's a big enough name, we're going to be going live, and we're going to be partying it up right here on Steelers Talk. So don't miss it. Make sure you click that subscribe button to never miss a breaking news video.